Welcome to another edition of the anynode video workshops. In this video, you will learn more about the possibility to perform a reverse lookup of phone numbers in a database to retrieve the display name of the caller. Dynamic routing via Route Supervision is possible with the REST server or with SQL databases and Azure and Active Directories. This enables routing decisions based on individual record fields, as well as dial string rewriting and setting display names. In this video, we show how to set up a directory in anynode, which is filled with caller data from a MariaDB database management system. A call number is then assigned a special display name with a company name, which can provide many benefits in day-to-day business operations. You need an anynode version from 4.6 and an SQL database, an Azure AD or LDAP directory with the appropriate access rights. Before we start with the configuration in anynode, let's take a quick look at an example of a MariaDB. In this database, the company name, the location, and the phone number are stored. We will start with the configuration in anynode using the directory assistant. You can find the wizard under Directories. Click on Add Directory and select the type of directory. In our case it is Create a new database connected directory. Select the type of your database at Database Connection and then enter the access data. If the standard port 3306 for the database is used, the input is not necessary. You can test the successful access to the database at this point with Test Connection. In this part, you set up the query that is sent to the database for a dial string lookup. The first query is used for single record queries, which is when you need only the first record of a query. The wizard has already inserted a query here that can be used in most cases. In our example, we only need to change the database name from users to companies. This query is sent to the database to get the row with the corresponding dial string. This column is then returned to anynode, including the company name. At the end of the query, you will find a dial string, which is used as a variable. If you use this database to search for a dial string, the searched value will be inserted into this variable. The dial string list query is used when you need a whole list of entries. For example, if you want to make a parallel call. In our case, we use this query for a test of the database. Select asterisk from companies. The dial string column name, the display name column name, and the tags column name are used to tell anynode what the column is called for these different values. In our case, these are business phone for the dial string column name and business name for the display name column name. We do not have a tags column in our table. Only the dial string column name is mandatory. In our case, we don't need either SIP authentication or the provisioning lookup. The SIP authentication lookup is used as a directory for a registrar. The provisioning lookup is used for phone provisioning. The user identifier lookup is needed to define a column identifier of a database, such as a primary key. This is needed when there is more than one result to keep the records apart. We need to change the name of the table from users to companies since we are using the companies table. Also, we need to set the user identifier column name to ID, since this column is the primary key. The name of this directory is freely selectable. We use the name suggested by the wizard here. After you gave the directory a name, you can finish this wizard. Now we can test a complete retrieval of the entries from the database. To do this, go to the newly created directory on the left and open the Test tab. It is best to leave the mode at the default value dial strings. Clicking Test will retrieve the complete contents of the database. However, the display is limited to the first 100 entries. Now we configure a route supervision for a route, which can rewrite information in a call using a database query. In our example, this is the route to SIP phones. Here we have multiple SIP phones registered simultaneously under one SIP registrar. In the To SIP Phones route, Use Route Supervision is now selected in the filters. A new supervision option now appears. There are several options available for the source of the routing information. In our case, we use the directory option. Under Directory, we select the database connected directory that we created earlier. The match address source must be changed to source dial string, because we want to apply route monitoring to incoming calls that match the source dial string. We leave the If No User is Found option at the default value, and the route will still be taken. If you create a special route just for route monitoring, it is possible to skip the route if no entry is found. Under dial string rewriting, we need to specify the name of the column where the company name information is located. Enter the column name in the source display name field to change the source display name. Simply a column name from the database can be used. If more than one column name is to be used or static text or symbols are to be added, a dollar must be written in front of the column names. In our case, we want to retrieve the business name and business location. Here you can also test a successful query to the database already during the configuration. We use a number from the database for this. You can already observe here that the source dial string is rewritten. Assign a name for the route supervision at this point. In our example, we will use the name suggested by the wizard. The route supervision is now entered in the route table. Do not forget, as always, to confirm the inputs with commit finally. So that the rewriting of the source dial string made in the route supervision is not automatically overwritten by the set value in the routing forward profile, we need to change the default value here. Go to the routing forward profile used in the route. In our case, this is To SIP Phones. There we go into the telephony forwarding object. Under signaling forwarding from calling entity to called entity, set forward the changes of dial strings to disabled. A look under the hood of anynode shows us the signaling processes. The SIP message arrives here with an invite, and in the default setting is sent on the shortest path by the routing forward profile, and the source dial string rewriting is overridden again. By switching off the default value, the source rewriting takes effect. Finally, we test an incoming call from a company from the database on a SIP end device and can see here that the display name with the company name is correctly transmitted from the database to the end device. We are now at the end of this video tutorial. Have a great day.